My name is Stephen Grothe. This is my Week 8 lesson plan, reading comprehension for informational text. This is for a third grade class. In this class, I have my special ed student Joy, my talented student Chris, and my English language learner Mario. So I will go ahead and begin the lesson. Okay, class. This is our last day of school, but administration wants us to teach one more lesson here. So, what I'm going to teach you is a new strategy. It is called collaborative strategic reading. It's also known as CSR. Okay, collaborative means working together, and strategic reading is when you have a plan to understand and remember what you've read. Okay? Now, does anyone have any questions yet? Okay. So we're going to go over the chart up here on the board, and I'm going to show you the different sections of collaborative strategic reading. Okay? At the top, when we first start, before reading, we preview. Okay? We scan, we brainstorm what we know, and we predict what we're going to learn. Then, during reading, we have click and clunk. Click is where you understand what you're reading with no problems. Clunk is if you don't understand a word or concept. Okay? If you don't understand something, that is where we figure it out using our vocabulary strategy. Okay? You all remember that, so you know how to use it. And at the end of the reading, we get the gist. Now, the gist is kind of like a summary, but it's a real short summary. So you can say in about 10 words or less exactly what that paragraph was about. Okay? And the very last part, after reading, we do a wrap-up. That is where we're going to ask and answer questions, and we're going to review what we learned from our reading. Okay? Any questions so far? Okay. So, what I'm going to do, you all have copies of Pioneers on the Oregon Trail. So, I'm going to get my copy here, and I am actually going to preview it. I'm going to scan it. I'm going to look at the title. The title is Pioneers on the Oregon Trail. More of the scanning. I see it has boldface type, The Way West. And down here, Packing for the Journey. Let's see. And then here, italicized, it's a quote. It says, ourselves moving on in the general throng, sand reflecting back the heat of the sun in your face and making the sweat trickle down. Oh, this is going to Oregon. That's a quote by Helen Stewart in 1853. Okay? We have a picture of a covered wagon, and we have a timeline. So, based on what I know, let me put my book down. I'm going to do a little brainstorming, okay? Well, let's see. There we go. From movies I've seen, I know that they rode in covered wagons on the Oregon Trail. So let's see, what do I want to put up there? What else do I know about the pioneers? Let's start here. Covered wagons. It was a long trip. What I'm doing right now is I'm brainstorming. Okay? What else do we know about the pioneers? Let's see. If I remember, they went from the east side of the country to Oregon. That's where they were heading. That's why they called it the Oregon Trail, which would be way on the west side of the country. So they went from east to west. East to west. Okay. Now, based on my brainstorming and the title and what I've read here, I'm going to come up with some predictions. I think, reading this, I'm going to learn about the long journey. I'm going to learn about what they packed. And let's see. What else am I going to learn about, I think? I might learn about what life was like on the journey. Okay? What life was like. So, I've got my predictions there. That's going to be a long journey. The story's going to tell me about what they packed. And it's going to tell me what life was like while they traveled. Now, what we're going to do is start reading. I'm going to read the first paragraph here, okay? Now, the way west. In the early 1800s, Lewis and Clark explored the territory west of the Mississippi. No one knew what they would find. As they traveled, they made maps. They wrote in their journals. They described miles and miles of beautiful land with tall trees, good soil, and rushing rivers. Let's see. I'm going to go on one more. No, I'm going to stop that paragraph. Okay. Let's see. You know, there's a word there that I just don't really understand. I don't understand the word territory. So this paragraph was not a click. This was a clunk because I came across a word I really don't understand. So let's use our vocabulary strategy. First thing in our vocabulary strategy, are there any context clues? Well, let's see. They explored the territory west of the Mississippi. No one knew what they would find. As they traveled, they made maps, they wrote in their journals, they described miles and miles of beautiful land. Now see, that could be our context clue. Miles and miles of beautiful land. So I'm going to write that down under clunk. Okay? And then we'll write territory. And clue, miles and miles of beautiful land. Now, step 2 says we should see if we can break the word apart. Can we break territory apart? I don't think so. I don't see any prefixes or suffixes. So I'm going to go on to step 3. What do I think it means based on my clues? I think territory means miles and miles of land. Okay? Now, step 4, I'm going to take the word territory out and replace it with miles and miles of land and see if that makes sense. So let me try. In the early 1800s, Lewis and Clark explored the miles and miles of beautiful land west of the Mississippi. That makes sense to me. So I think that territory means miles and miles of beautiful land. Okay? So if it makes sense, that is a good context clue, and it tells us what it means. So I'm going to go on to the second paragraph now. News about the wonders of the West spread. People began to dream about a new life in the new land. and before long they were traveling west on the Oregon Trail. At first, there were only a few adventurers. In 1843, 200 families crossed the Oregon Trail. Then in 1848, gold was discovered in California. Soon after, thousands of people began heading west, hoping to make their dreams come true. Okay, is that a click or a clunk? Well, I understand all the words. I understand it also that's going to be a click. Everything clicked with me. No problems. Okay? So, we're going to go on to the gist of that story. Okay? You know, we've got to back up. Mr. Grothe forgot to do the gist of the first paragraph, didn't I? Yeah. So, let's go back to the first paragraph. In the early 1800s, Lewis and Clark explored the territory west of the Mississippi. No one knew what they would find. As they traveled, they made maps. They wrote in their journals. They described miles and miles of beautiful land with tall trees, good soil, and rushing rivers. So, gist is kind of a summary, but it's a short one, remember? Only about 10 words. So, how could I summarize that? Lewis and Clark explored the territory west of the Mississippi and found lots of beautiful land. Now, I think that's going to be too long. So, let's shorten that up. How can I shorten that up? Lewis and Clark explored the territory. No, Lewis and Clark were the first. Let me try. Lewis and Clark were the first explorers west of the Mississippi. How's that? So that's going to be the gist of chapter 1, or paragraph 1. Lewis and Clark, first explorers of the territory west of the Mississippi. Okay. Now let's go back to our second paragraph. News about the wonders of the West spread. People began to dream about a new life in a new land, and before long they began traveling west on the Oregon Trail. At first there were only a few adventurers. In 1843, 200 families crossed the Oregon Trail. Then in 1848, gold was discovered in California. Soon after, thousands of people began heading west, hoping to make their dreams come true. Okay, I think the gist of that, let's see, I'm going to summarize it. At first, a lot of people didn't go, but after gold was discovered, hundreds of people went on the trail. So how can I shorten that up? Let me think. I think because we're talking about gold, so I think people traveled west to make their dreams come true. Okay, let's try that. People traveled west to make their dreams come true. 9 words. There we go. I'll write that down. West to make their dreams come true. Okay. Oh. There we go. Okay. Now, let's go on to the next section, packing for the journey. Okay. Traveling west was not easy. The Oregon Trail was thousands of miles long and took between 4 and 6 months to cross. Pioneers had to pack everything they would need in a covered wagon that was not much bigger than a double bed. Once food, tools, and supplies for the journey were packed, the wagon was nearly full. As a result, there was no room left for personal belongings. But the pioneers left behind more than the comforts of home and their special treasures. They said goodbye to family and friends they never expected to see again. Okay, I've got a clunk on that one. I'm not sure what the word belongings would mean. Let's see. Let's look for a context clue. That's what I'm going to do first. Okay. It says, as a result, there was no room left for personal belongings. Personal would be something of mine, I think. Doesn't that make sense? Yeah. Okay, that would be mine. Let's see. They left more than the comforts of home and their special treasures. So, special treasures is another context clue. So, personal, mine, special treasures could be like little trinkets and maybe my special teddy bear. Okay, those could be special treasures. Let's go to word clues. Okay, the word belongings. Let's put that up here. Okay, in that word, I see two parts. I see a root word and I see a suffix. Okay, so the root word is belong, and that means something I own. So, step 3, I'm going to use my clues and figure out what that word means. Okay, let's see. It's something special to me, something I own. So belongings would probably mean what? It's my own personal stuff, stuff I own. Okay, so let me plug that in the sentence. Let's see. As a result, there was no room left for stuff that I own. Well, that kind of makes sense, you know. Personal belongings, stuff that I personally own. It makes sense. So that's what belongings means. Okay. So let us go on to the guest. I'm going to summarize it. Let's see. People took food, tools, and supplies. They took important stuff with them, and they had to leave behind a lot of the stuff that they owned that was not real important. Okay, that is just too long. You know, that's not a guess. The guess is supposed to be about 10 words or less, right? Okay, so let me think. People could only take the necessary things in the covered wagons. Let's see. The pioneers could only take, no, the pioneers could only fit necessary things in the covered wagons. That's 11. Let's cut it down one more. The pioneers could only fit necessary things in the wagons. That's 10 words, right? There's our guess. Okay. Pioneers could only take necessary things in the wagons. There we go. So we've got our guest, and what we're going to do now is we're going to go to wrap up of that section. Right? In the wrap up, what we do is we're going to do a QAR. You remember that? Question, answer, response. Okay? Now, I'm going to come up with these questions. These questions would be like what a teacher might ask you on a test or something, okay? So we don't want questions like, did the pioneers have horses? We don't want questions like that. We want questions based on our guess, okay? So, first question. Who explored the territory west of the Mississippi? Who explored the territory west of Mississippi? So, my answer is going to be Lewis and Clark. There's my answer. Now, what type of a question is that? You remember, first of all, when we come up with a question, it has to be who, what, when, where, how, why, or how. Okay? Which we've got. Who explored the territory west of the Mississippi? The answer is Lewis and Clark. Now, remember the type of the question. Is it a right there question, where the answer is right there in the story? Is it a think and search, one you got to look for? Or is it an author and me one, where the author gives you all the information to come to a conclusion, pretty much? Okay? So what kind of question do you think it is, Chris? Very good. It's right there. Okay? Okay, based on our second guess, people traveled west to make their dreams come true. So, I think my question is going to be, why did the people travel west? See, I'm starting with why. People travel west. And my answer would be to get rich, because they talked about gold, right? That's why they all went. They wanted to get rich. Most of them did. So, now, is that a right there question? Or do we have to think about that a little bit? We had to put some clues together, didn't we? That's a think and search. Good job. Okay. Think and search. Okay. Our last one is the pioneers could only take the necessary things in the covered wagon. So, what question? Why? What did the pioneers leave behind? Well, we'll go with that. This is the what question. What did pioneers leave behind? The answer is going to be their personal belongings. They could only take what they needed, right? Let's see. So, actually, better than that, they left behind everything that wasn't necessary. Okay? Everything not necessary. And what kind of question is that? That's an all for me. Okay? Okay. So, we've got that one done. Okay. Now we're going to go to Wagons Ho. And you guys are going to start doing the CSR. Okay? First of all, let's do a little brainstorming. Okay, it's called Wagons Ho. And what do we have here? Wagons Ho. And then we have the wagon being pulled by the oxen, right? Okay. So, brainstorm. What do we know? They were going to, very good, Oregon. Okay. We know that from the last. Going to Oregon. Any other brainstorms? Yeah, it was probably a long trip. Yeah, that's why they could only take their necessities with them, huh? They couldn't take extra stuff. Okay, and that was in our other brainstorm too. Now, prediction. What are we going to learn about Wagons Ho? Okay. What do you think we'll learn? Yeah, possibly what it was like on the trail living there, huh? So that goes back to what life was like. Maybe how long it took them to get there? Very good one. Yeah, it's a good one. How long it took to get there. We'll find out how long it took. Yeah, that's another good one. How hard it was. How hard a journey. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and read the first paragraph of this. Pioneers gathered at starting points between Independence, Missouri and Council Bluffs, Iowa. Yeah, that's right by us. To join up with wagon trains heading west. It was safest to travel with 10 to 15 wagons in a group. Wagon trains did not set out until there was enough grass growing on the prairie to feed the animals along the way. At the same time, they could not wait too long. The wagons had to get over the mountains before it started to snow. Okay, do we have any clunks in that one? Are there any words that anyone didn't understand in there? No? Okay. Then that was a click. Very good. So, let's summarize it. What was that paragraph about? It was about the actual wagon trains, yeah. Very good. 10 to 15 of them. What else was that paragraph about? Yeah, good job. They had to wait for grass so the animals could eat. And Joy, would they say about how fast they had to get over there? Yeah, they had to get over. Why? Why did they have to get over the mountains? Before it snowed. They didn't want to get stuck in the mountains in the snow, did they? Okay, very good. Now, you guys are doing this here. I want to redefine what these mean. I want to make sure you understand these, okay? Because you're doing them. Brainstorming, that's where we come up with things that we know already, okay? Predicting is where we are going to guess what we're going to learn, okay? We don't know for sure what we're going to learn, but we can kind of guess what we might learn. Clunk. Clunk. Does clunk sound good? No, it doesn't. Clunk is something bad because clunk is when we don't understand something. Click is good. It clicks. It goes right. Okay. And yes, that's kind of, remember, that's a shortened version of what they told us. That's just a short little summary. Now, Mario, I just want to reconfirm with you, okay? Brainstorm is idea genio, okay? And predict is prediction. Clunk is the same. And gist is essentia. Okay? Now, you understand all those. Okay, so our brainstorm, our idea of Genia, was that we're going to Oregon, a long trip. Our prediction is what life was like on the trail, how long and how hard it was. Okay. And our clunk, everyone understood it, so we have no problems with words. Okay. Now, let's go to essentia. The gist of the story, or the paragraph that I just read. Okay. We talked about it, kind of summarized it there. Let's make it short now. Okay. How are we going to shorten that up? Okay. Chris, what did you come up with there? Wagons gathered together in groups, waiting till there was grass, but before the snow. Okay, let's see. Wagons gathered together in groups, waiting for grass, but before there was snow. We got 13 words. We need to shorten it up. Okay, who can come up with a shorter version? Okay, wagons went in groups. After spring, but before winter. Very good. Okay, we'll put that down. Wagons, groups. Hey, good job. Okay. Now, we're going to do the next one, and you guys are going to give me ideas on that, okay? A wagon train on the move could be 1 mile long and 1 mile wide. Bumping along inside a cramped wagon was a hard and uncomfortable way to travel. Pioneers often trudged beside the wagons instead. Consequently, most people walked slowly all the way to Oregon, nearly 2,000 miles. Okay? So, was that a click or a clunk? Okay, it was a click for everyone. Good. Okay. What was the gist of that one? It was a long trip, and most people actually walked. Very good. There we go. Okay. That was very good. Okay. Now, what I'm going to have you guys do is you're going to partner up, and you're going to do the next section called A Day on the Trail. Okay? You and your partner, and you're going to write down your stuff, okay? You're going to brainstorm, predict. If you find a clunk, figure it out. And then you're also going to do a wrap up on it, okay? With the QAR, the questions, answers, and what type they were, okay? So I want you guys to work together, and we'll talk about this after you're all done, okay?